Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. On today's episode, we're with Luke and Jennifer Mahin of Irrigation Ales in Courtland, Kansas. They're sharing how they have built this business over time, starting with the Courtland Fermentation Club and the process of learning how to brew good, quality beer, as well as the really cool story behind their branding. They also talk about the incredible entrepreneurial culture of Courtland, plus what it was like for Luke growing up in a very small town and for Jennifer moving to a very small town. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know we've now expanded our design services over at Branded by Rural Revival to offer logos, branding, and marketing assets. So if you need a new logo, brand refresh, or a new website, we'd love to help you build a brand that you love. You can find out more at brandedbyruralrevival.co. And now, here we go with Luke and Jennifer Mahin. All right. Well, we're here today with Luke and Jennifer Mahin of Irrigation Ales in Courtland, Kansas. Guys, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Luke, I first got introduced to you when you were doing economic development. So it's been fun to watch all of this develop, but we're actually here in your hometown, right?
Yep. Born and raised in Courtland.
Awesome. Talk about what it was like growing up here.
Growing up here, you're always envious of the farm kids because they got to do all the cool stuff. And then you realize later on when you got to go to the pool by yourself, like Courtland's unique. It's a town 300-ish then. And it had a pool. So we were kind of like, our school district is multiple towns. We were the only one with a pool. So you realize, nice. Oh, I'm a city kid. Like, we got to have a pool. And so you kind of bounce back and forth in these worlds of thinking you grew up in a town, so you're a city person.
Yeah.
And then you go to college and you grow up later on doing sports, and we're the smallest school district, like, classification in the state. So you're always like, oh, we're actually very tiny. And then you get to college and you realize, wait, there's people that don't like where they're from. And for my experience, I'm like, how could you ever not want to come back home to Courtland? Like, I have a massive family on this 2/3 of this side of the county. A lot of people in my class wanted to come back here. Half of them did after college. So growing up here was great. You have cousins that are like siblings. You have, a twin brother, I have a bunch of siblings. So it was basically a big network of family. Courtland's a very progressive community that supports itself really well. So I couldn't imagine growing up until later in my life, understanding why you wouldn't like your own town.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my experience growing up here. But it's definitely very rooted in agriculture, and obviously with our name. Surface water irrigation is a big deal. We do not have the Ogallala Aquifer to pump from. We actually pull it from the Republican River.
Okay.
So there's no underground aquifer here that we use.
Interesting. Okay. So it was always your plan to stay here then?
Here or somewhere that felt like it.
Okay.
Like a small town, small community, but everybody's young and wants to go to another country type of thing and like leave the state and go explore. And I never really got the chance to do a lot of those things, but I came back and kind of found some opportunities I didn't think would exist and grew a lot of those and got to where we're at now.
Very good. So how did you meet Jennifer, and how did you convince her to come here with you?
So I moved back in 2010. I graduated college with a communications degree. I started using that a little bit on the side of summer ag work, and we always came back and did farm jobs because it was really fun. And we lived in a summer house with other guys. And at that time, I had a position with economic development. They hired this marketing firm I worked for to do the hours of that role. At that time, the budget wasn't great. They could afford a part-time kind of 3/4 position, but not enough for a really good full-time person. My boss in the business, Generous Freelance, had done it before, and I kind of learned under her. She had her second child with her husband, and wanted to be at home more and flex that time, so I became the director. And so then through that time, I worked in economic development. My brother was living in Grand Island.
I was wondering where you were going with this.
My brother was working in Grand Island. His wife was a social worker at Grand Island at a school there, and they had to go an away party for her because they were moving back to Courtland area.
Okay.
And I taught at that school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to that party with a friend, and I met his brother, who was like, hey, I have a brother who'd be perfect for you. And the rest is history. I moved down here the following year and started teaching in Kansas.
So through my economic development job, I kind of got Jennifer back here, helped her find a school district that had an opening, found a rental for her to rent. Housing's incredibly tough in any rural community, especially growing ones.
Yep.
His sibling owned the house. I think that's important to know.
Yeah.
That was helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And literally you have to know a lot of people to find. I moved 6 or 7 times when I was back here, and I never got kicked out of any of them. It was all coincidental. We're building a house. We need to move in grandma's house while we're doing it.
Yep.
Could you kindly find somewhere else to live, type of thing. Or upgrades. This one got available. Let's move there. It's better.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's just incredibly hard from that perspective to support entrepreneurs and help them. And the first questions that come up is often that housing or childcare. And a couple of years later, we got engaged, and her mom moved to Scandia from Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow. Which is literally right down the road.
Yep.
She bought our house sight unseen. Like, we went and looked at it, took pictures, and we're like, hey, you should move here. And she lived within maybe 4-block radius her entire life. And now she's here living her best life.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And if you ask Jennifer where she came from, she can give you more rationale on why that works logically, why her mom would move out here. But
Yeah. So do share some of that and what it's been like for you to move here.
So I am from we call it a small town. It's like 11 or 13,000 inside of a county of 500,000. So I'm from Columbia, Pennsylvania, which is inside of Lancaster County. So like where the Amish are, it's very populated. And I loved it there. Like, I never saw myself living there forever. My senior year of college, I went out to Nebraska and changed my major and lived there for a while.
Your sister lives in Scottsbluff.
Yeah, my sister lives in Scottsbluff, Nebraska. My brother's in Michigan. So I was very open to living anywhere. But never in my life would I have pictured myself in Courtland, Kansas. And when I explain it to people where I live, it takes them a minute to realize when I say like 294 people, I literally mean 200.
They said 1,000.
They're like,
right?
oh, yeah, 1,000, that's not bad. I'm like, no, 100. They're like, 100,000? No. Like explaining to people where I get groceries and things like that.
Yeah.
It was hard at first adjusting. I mean, I loved it. But now, like if I go back to Pennsylvania or we travel quite a bit, I'm always so excited to come back to Courtland. Like I find myself waving to people in big cities now and they don't wave back to me and I'm so offended. But it probably took me at least 8 years of living in Courtland to finally wave to people myself.
It was probably faster than that.
It's just a very different place, but I love it.
Like she
Yeah.
craved driving in traffic or city traffic when we'd go to the airport or fly somewhere, and she's just like, I'm driving. And now she's like, I won't touch the steering wheel because she hates traffic now.
Yeah.
But her town is, about the same square miles as Belleville, our county seat of 2,000. But it's dense with 10,000 in the same geography.
Yeah.
And so when she said small town, I'm like, well, it is size-wise, but
Yeah.
it's just a ton more people.
And I literally had access to anything and everything
Yeah.
Wow.
I could have ever wanted.
Yeah. Which, granted, for us to go to a grocery store, we have 5 choices in a half an hour.
Yeah.
So Courtland is very centrally isolated, is what I'd say.
That's
like
a
we're
good way to
not
put it.
way out in the middle of nowhere, but
Yeah.
we're far enough away that we're not sucked in by a vacuum of a bigger town. So we kind of have to do some things here during the week, and there's different businesses that still can exist here because we're not right next to a bigger city. And the irrigation agriculture industry really does help our community. We wouldn't have a school district probably without it. Courtland has maybe 2 or 3 vacant buildings in a 3-block area. We probably wouldn't have this if it wasn't for the input of agriculture and the spin-off businesses.
Yeah. Well, I love how you've created the whole brand around that, and I want to get into that a little bit later. But when did this whole idea for a brewery start? Was that always something in the back of your mind?
Well, when we started talking and originally it was a lot of phone calls because Grand Island's an hour 45.
Back in 2014.
Oh,
Visiting,
sure.
we're talking about like, what do you like to do? Is live music, craft beer was a big thing in 2014. And we talked about craft beer. I'm like, you like IPAs? That's weird. Girls don't like IPAs, And so we toured a lot of places, went to brewery tours, went to beer fest, and we really enjoyed, I guess, learning about culture of different places through the medium of beer. And at that time, I moved back in 2012, started homebrewing with a buddy who had a Mr. Beer kit. The beer was not good. It was drinkable. It was alcohol, and we were like 24, and we're like, okay, we'll drink it.
Why
It's
not?
fine.
Yeah.
Don't want to waste this Mr. Beer kit.
But I feel like from day one, he was always like, I want to open a brewery. I want to open a brewery. And I was like, okay, do it. Do it. I'll help you. And from teaching and being in college, I had experience with bartending and serving and doing all those things. So I was like, I'll support you. Mm-hmm. But I guess I never really, you always said it, but I didn't think we'd be here. And as the time got closer, I was like, let's do it. What do we have to lose?
And I'm not a very sporadic person. I like to think about all the options before I pick one, and probably why it took us so long to get, go from engaged to married to where we're at now. And the brewery took literally a decade. Me and my dad homebrewed, and we started a fermentation club in Courtland. Our banker is young for banker standards in rural Kansas.
Yeah.
He's not 50 yet, but he came back from Norman, Oklahoma, and he said something about home brewing, and they had a brew club. I'm like, this guy must know a ton. Let's do this. Kansas just allowed us to share home brew, outside of the home in a more formal brew meeting setting.
Because before that was not that was illegal.
It was illegal, but nobody really did anything about it. Like, there's a Lawrence Brew Club since the 60s or even before that had frequently met, but you're not selling anything. So then the state just they want to make sure that you don't sell things because they want their piece of the pie.
Got it. Okay.
So it had been, but it's just never been formalized on a legal setting. So we saw that and we're like, hey, it's legal. Let's just meet at the park and do brew days. Like, there's a couple people that are interested in this. We have a guy that does wine, so we can't call it the brew club. Let's call it the Courtland Fermentation Club, because we have a guy that does wine. Somebody else did want to do sourdough or kimchi or kombucha. And so it was fun because it was, just a bunch of people sharing more than actually brewing. There was 3 out of 15 of us that actually brewed much. And so we got kind of guinea pigs that are willing to drink about anything. Dad got into it, and he had been converted from Coors Light to this hobby, and he's mechanical more than I am. He worked for the irrigation district for years. He had background in carpentry and agriculture and farming with his brother and his dad. And so I'd think of things that we could do, like get this piece of equipment built, and he'd just help me build it. So we cut out these kegs, and we had an all-grain system, which was supposed to make us better beer.
Okay.
Well, it didn't quite at first, and we started
It was
scratching
so bad.
and like watching YouTube videos and doing forums, like Reddit threads, trying to figure out like, well, Boulevard Wheat does this, and they fix their water this way and adjust this, and we eventually figured out chemistry and other things. And I enjoyed those classes in high school and got a little better and used some free software. And
competitions really helped too.
Thank God for the internet, because in rural Kansas, we have fiber here. We have access to all these people that have done this stuff before us in the 90s, that when the craft beer started becoming a thing. I'm like, I don't know how they did it in the 80s. So we started entering contests like the KC Beer Meisters competition in Kansas City, and this is a big regional one. And we ended up winning or doing better. We scored some pretty
not in the
terrible
beginning, but they give you feedback of where kind of you went wrong. And the first thing you found out is your temperature was off.
Yeah.
Your thermometer wasn't working.
So we don't attend these. We just mail in the beer.
Oh, okay.
Or get somebody to take it down there, and then for the event, then they have judges. So if you're in Kansas City, it's super easy to get there.
Yeah.
But for 3.5 hours away, we'll just see feedback. And so out of 50, usually they'll give you about 20 points for entering. We scored some like at 15. So we had some things to improve. But what's incredible is these beer judges are certified. They do tests, and they can tell you what's wrong to a degree with your beer.
Yeah.
So they suggested check out our temperature, and our thermometer was off by like 15 degrees. So, and like yeast suggestions or hop suggestions or like just different elements they can taste in that are wrong. And so through that feedback, we kept getting better and better. We ended up getting to the point where we won for a lager category for our Lovewell lager, won the light lager category. And lagers are traditionally really, really hard to brew.
Okay.
So, I mean, people can talk about big beer not being craft beer, but it is really hard to be that consistent with their product. We also won some awards for our oatmeal stout that got second or third as well the next year. And all of our other entries kept improving as well.
Okay.
So we knew it wasn't just family and friends that liked our beer because it was free.
Yeah.
And shared at a homebrew club. So we kept doing that, and then 5 years before we opened the building, so 7 years ago, we bought this building.
Yeah, and that was the big turning point, because we bought the building, and it was a price you couldn't pass up. But it was more like, if we choose not to open this brewery, his brother could have used it for an insurance building, or it could have been done for something.
We had an exit strategy,
Yeah.
at least like, we've got to try, because we know all these breweries we visit and are just face creeping and following their business plans, and like, I'm taking notes on their square footage and what town they're in, and
Counting
so like
how many chairs
this
they
brewery
have.
right here in Ord, Nebraska. I mean,
Scratchtown.
he was a former economic development director in their county, same size as us. So you just get your mind going, thinking, if they can do this in Valley County, an hour north of I-80, we're similar between I-80 and I-70 in Kansas, similar county, similar market. I think it could work. So we really, I was like, Jennifer, you live in Grand Island. Let's go visit Ord.
Yeah.
You know, it's an hour from you. And so we kept doing things like that, methodically, like pulling pieces from other breweries and what works, what doesn't.
And they're all more than willing to answer questions and help out and give advice.
And that was super beneficial. The industry is very open.
Very welcoming.
But while we were home brewing, well, we got engaged. Good. There's a market opportunity for us to test out our products.
Yeah.
So we brewed 7 different batches of beer for that. So,
Nice.
I mean, we did supplement with Busch Light because people drink it here. And
We had a lot of good beer at our wedding.
and then we made some plum wine. And so
It was terrible.
those things
It was so bad.
we were able to brew here and actually use the building in a more formal setting. We're still frying on a turkey fryer using the hood vent, because this building had been a former cafe like 5 times and a senior center, and really had the pieces to plug in a brewery pretty easily with the hood vent. You could put in bigger equipment, things like that.
But honestly, it wasn't until 2020 when we're like, we should do it. Because at that point, we had the building, we weren't open, but I think that's when we got a lot more serious about, maybe when this is all said and done, we should look into really getting this open and getting it moving forward.
And I think a lot of people took time and paused in their life and like reevaluated, what is the thing that, you know, you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, everybody had that chance. And I mean, we saw the draw to rural America, and our local lake doubled in attendees because everybody wanted to get back to openness and nature and things near them. Everybody was interested in staycations. And I think a lot of those elements we saw were going to continue even after the pandemic. But we knew it would be hard, but with the cost of the building and things that we started doing, we worked on that business plan a lot harder after that.
Okay, so when did you officially open?
February 25th, 2022.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
With some soft openings before that.
Okay, just to test it out.
Yeah, but
That's
that was
good.
our like official opening day.
Yeah. So talk about kind of the branding and all the local flair in your brand and the business.
So I was always obsessed with like, and you could probably use that word accurately. My dad worked for the irrigation district growing up. He retired.
Okay.
The same year we opened. He's my co-brewer. So it works out really great with the brand. He's a former ditch rider who helped deliver water on the canals to the farmers. My grandpa worked there for a time as well, and I worked there a couple summers at the end of high school and through college, and was on the maintenance crew. So I just was always intrigued with how this infrastructure, the lake is 17 miles from us. The water gets filled from the Republican River up by Guide Rock, Nebraska, near Red Cloud, home of Willa-Cather, if anybody wants to make a road trip. And so the water travels in a canal for 20, 30 miles to fill Lovewell Lake. And then from there, we have water that comes below the lake and above the lake that irrigates in the Kansas Bostwick Irrigation District, about 42,000 acres.
Okay.
And so this is a really pivotal part of Courtland. This is the home base for that Kansas Bostwick Irrigation District.
Okay.
They manage the whole infrastructure. There's taxes on the ground that help pay for the maintenance crew, the delivery of the water, and all those other things to make this system work every year. They deliver water from May to June to September, mainly for corn, soybeans, some alfalfa, and we also grow wheat, milo, and other stuff around here. So that district was created in the 50s, and it's always been a big part of this, but I always knew people didn't really understand. And a lot of people, when I did economic development, I'd tell them about this, and they didn't know what a canal looked like. And I'm like, it's a ditch, but with water in it. And they're like, no, you pump it out of the ground. Like, we don't have the aquifer here. So people don't understand surface water. And so I tied it all back, and I'm like, well, the easiest way for me to make this approachable is just go with irrigation ales. And that's where our murals play a big piece, because it shows the Republican River Basin and where the source of our water comes from, and it shows the irrigation district on the second mural.
It helps the rest of us who work here be able to explain his vision and where the name came from. We can be like, look at this mural, and this one's local, this one's not.
Yeah.
If you look at all these pictures here, this is where our logos came from.
And it's very relatable about how nerdy you can get with craft beer, because you can get all into the minutia and bore people within 5 minutes very quickly. Or we can just leave it up for you to interpret it how you want to, and it's just irrigation.
Yeah.
It's just beer.
I love it. So you got the brand. Were you still working in economic development at this point?
Yeah, so I kind of trained my way out of my career.
Okay.
By being a communications background, I was always intrigued by brands and the, you know, how they connect with culture and people and product and deliver. But also with the economic development side, I got to learn a lot about how to set up business plans, how to finance projects, what are those tools out there. And we were hosting small business classes twice a year. And while I was sitting through some of those, I was like, I might as well use this for a fictitious project so I can better communicate this with business owners on what I would do. And I took some other classes out in Colorado for a destination business boot camp with John Schallert, and just used that fictitious brewery idea, you know. And if I'm going to be here, I might as well use it for something.
Yeah.
And through that, I kept getting way more comfortable talking to other people about, you know, this idea. Could this be feasible? Through the Fermentation Club, we kept getting people from around 45 miles to come to the Fermentation Club by word of mouth. And I'm like, there's got to be some traction here if these people are traveling that far.
Yeah.
And through that, we kept doing some beer for somebody's wedding and then ours. And that just really led to that confidence that I think we could do this.
Yeah.
Granted, it probably could have been done faster than 10 years, but I'm glad we did because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
we started
right.
after that. So.
And did it, I mean, it had to be in the back of your head a little bit, like, this is a small town. Is this community going to support a business like this? And maybe the Fermentation Club was all the proof you needed, but.
That and just Courtland. I
Yeah.
mean, Courtland's always been entrepreneurial as a kid. Like, the depot market north of Courtland is a mile.
Yep.
Is the train depot that used to be in town. That got moved out there 30 years ago by a guy from Kansas City. So we talk about that rural urban divide. Courtland was totally fine with Dan Kuhn, this, you know, hipster apple grower wanting to do an apple cider mill and veggies and stuff. Like, okay, you might be odd, but go ahead and try. Now everybody celebrates it like a, you know, opening baseball season when they open and they close in the fall. And it's been one of the biggest important businesses in this area. But we have a number of stories like that with a Courtland. Somebody's a transplant, somebody came in. They've always been a progressive community that says yes or maybe first and not no. And that was the cool thing about opening here, is we never got asked or told that this is insane and it's not going to work.
That's awesome.
We got asked for 3 years, when are you opening?
Wow.
You know, and so nobody told me to my face that this is insane, this is not going to work. So that's the kind of community we're in.
Yeah.
But I also think that we knew coming into this that we couldn't just rely on our communities to support us, because being such a limited community, we needed outsiders to discover us, to discover Courtland and support us. And I think our biggest hurdle in the local business in the beginning was the people who asked, well, will you serve Busch Light? And we're like, no. So convincing those Busch Light drinkers to come in here and at least try what we had. And it's so crazy now because those same Busch Light drinkers want the weirdest sours and are just like completely trying everything. The weirder we make it, the more they love it.
The people that love light lagers, they get upset when we don't have a straight. Like right now we have a Gander, a blueberry sour. We've done one with Sandhill plums.
But we also have the people who come strictly for our Lovewell lager and love that basic light lager too.
Yeah, and we do plenty of light drinking beers, but I wouldn't have ever guessed that our most popular, for sure, is light. The second most fastest selling thing we do is sours.
Wow.
That are like local fruit from the depot market, raspberries, blackberries, things like that. And then, craft beer is dominantly usually hoppy beer. That's probably our 4th or 5th best selling thing.
Yeah.
So that's been fun to see people converting into, I don't know what it is, but I like this thing.
Yeah.
So we don't try to get too beer nerdy with them. We explain some things if they want to know more, but that's the fun part, is just showing them different side of Kansas products too.
Yeah. One thing that stood out to me about Courtland when I first came here too is like, this is a young, fun community, and everybody kind of fits into that. And you just kind of added to that whole vibe, bringing this fun business.
Yeah, and doing economic development, helping other small businesses in the county. The whole county kind of has a lot of young people desiring to come back to this area. We're in a really good spot in Kansas. But also Courtland, like if we open, wow, this is awesome. We got a restaurant, we got Soul Sisters, we got a locally owned bank, we got the depot market. Like this is just, why not? If we're joining all these other people dedicating and putting blood, sweat, and tears into town, and then you add the hunting lodge that opened as well with a mess hall, there's just tons of reasons to build into this ecosystem. And our median age went from like 55 to 30s. In a 5 or 7 year period when I was doing economic development. So you saw that, then we saw us increase in the census for the first time in 50 years. So those things just give you a lot of confidence that, okay, well, if not now, when?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, so I've always wondered, because I use Courtland as an example. I feel like you have one of all these different things that all complement each other. And you can kind of find everything that you need right here in town. So was that intentional, or did that just kind of happen organically?
Courtland's always been a community, whether with nonprofit like boards, we have a lot of community groups. They've always been active in, okay, I'm going to step down so somebody else can step up.
Wow.
And when they hear about somebody maybe selling a building, the community as a whole is like a hive, like, okay, we know this is happening. What's a good opportunity for it? So I wouldn't say it's one leader or two. There's a lot of shared leadership in the community. And I mean, just those assets building on each other, having a locally only location bank, who cares about investing in the community. Those things really do get support when it comes down to making these projects happen.
Yeah, and that's rare these days to have a locally owned bank like that. Yeah.
I honestly think that we have a shortage of buildings for the amount of entrepreneurs.
We have more ideas than buildings.
We have so many younger people who want to start a business in town, and there's just not enough space.
Yeah. So do you have plans to kind of address that?
Not formally.
Okay.
I mean, there's just a lot of
talk.
That's the really cool thing that I noticed in that first 3 months we were open. We had that stereotypical young group.
Yeah.
Granted, our best customer base is empty nesters because it's our demographics.
Sure.
We're an older area. But I went outside and there's just a whole group of people out on the patio, and they're talking about ideas and not people for a solid 2 hours. That realization, like, they didn't talk once about people.
Yeah.
They're talking about ideas. They didn't care who did these ideas. They didn't have to own these business ideas. They want to support them.
And they all just want to see our community grow and keep evolving.
So I think that like organic attitude is there, and that's helpful. I don't know where it started. Courtland's always been kind of like, we're celebrating our 60th Fun Day. It's our small town celebration that brings in like 5,000 people. So it's just a very good tradition of some of these things that have been happening.
Yeah, you've created a really cool culture.
And so we're just trying to pass the baton really and not mess it up.
Yeah. Now all our listeners are going to want to move here. Like, those are my people.
Well, when I went to college, I joked because there's a lot of people that come for Fun Day or have come and visited and then like, man, I want to like buy a house there, move there or something. And I'm like, have you ever seen Joe Dirt? This is that town Joe Dirt gets everybody to come back to me, you know, and so that theme is kind of present.
Yeah.
There's a lot of transplants. Like Jennifer being from Pennsylvania is not new here.
Wow.
You know, Dan Kuhn is from Kansas City. Another guy's from California. There's another couple down the street from us from New Hampshire, Delaware.
The DeJoyas.
Yeah. The people we got our wine, you know, from the Fermentation Club. We did a wine beer hybrid with them.
Okay.
Well, she's from Maryland and he's from...
I think Delaware, somewhere
Yeah.
around there. They're both East Coasters.
But they somehow went to Iowa State, and now they're down here. So,
and their whole family's here.
so it's just like Courtland is more diverse than people realize from where people came from.
Yeah. And it's rare to have a small town that's growing instead of declining. So, yeah, it's really, really great. What's the greatest impact this business has had on your lives?
I think just looking at where we were when we started this business, we were both, you know, this is a full-time job.
Yeah.
We were both, I was teaching full-time, he was doing economic development. Now this is his full-time career. I now work remote and am a elementary computer science curriculum developer. So I think this has honestly provided us with so much more freedom, which sounds insane because we are either here 24/7 or we are exploring different breweries or actively trying to get away to support other small towns. So I feel like this has just changed our lives in so many ways, just that like where our lives were when we started, I would have never imagined like you run a brewery, I work from home, we travel more now than we ever have.
Yeah.
I think that's been the biggest change.
And I'm probably working more than I did before, but it doesn't feel like it. And so that's the best part about it is that flexibility. Yes, you're an entrepreneur, and I have probably, you know, a few more responsibilities internally, but
I think we both love to just be here, so it doesn't actually feel like working. Like Saturday night, this place was packed with live music for St. Patrick's Day, and we're sitting up there, and Luke looks at me and he's like, do you just see all these people enjoying your beer? Like they're all so happy drinking your beer. Or those cocktails, because we make our own cocktails too in 5-gallon batches. So it's like everything people are drinking here, we made that.
yeah.
Like, and they're happy, enjoying our product. So it's just kind of like finally hit that aha moment, like we're doing it.
Yeah.
But that start out phase, like, I mean, it was very quick project turnaround from when we got to where we were comfortable.
We got our loan money in August.
Publicly
of
saying
2021.
we're going to do a brewery was June of 19. Or no, June of 21.
June of 2021, and then like our loan stuff came in probably September, and then we turned around and
Within 9 months, we opened.
it
Wow.
was a lot.
And
'Cause
Yeah.
we did some improvements to the building, but literally every waking moment that you're not working your normal job,
we're here,
2 or 3 hours every night, we're like zombies.
and then we're
so-
bartending till midnight or later, or coming in here bright and early, cleaning the floors and the
Yeah.
bathrooms, and
But I look at the photos from our ribbon cutting because we had them up, and I was like, we look so tired. So I feel like
You were.
I feel like we've gotten to where a new normal is, and it's way more comfortable. We know more about the business, but you're learning all the time. Things are changing, the industry's changing.
but we also have amazing staff
Yeah.
who allow us to still kind of live our lives outside of here. I mean, we're very passionate about this. We love to be here, but I also love a weekend away from here.
Yeah.
And we have really, really great people that we can trust and are doing a fabulous job to kind of.
I mean, we have 6 other bartenders besides us.
Wow.
So
And for
it's,
rural Kansas, it's
a
hard
lot.
to find, help.
Yeah.
I think 1.5% unemployment right now in our county, which is insane.
That
Because I
is
thought
insane.
low was 2.5 or 3
Yeah.
a while ago when I was doing that. But my background and helping other businesses and seeing the common struggles also helped us design a system that were replaceable in serving beer.
So
yes,
good.
me and dad retired. Great. I can hire him and have him help me brew and clean it in for a number of hours a week, but he could still enjoy retirement and not have to be bogged down. And our front of house is designed in a way that we can train people to do the job just as well as us. And we are not tied and married and chained to that business that we saw many businesses, not breweries, but whether they're in a different industry or not, sometimes you are more tied to it than you want to be.
Yeah.
And
But we've set it up in a way.
lucky that we could do something a little more flexible.
But we've set it up in a way that, like, you don't have to have 5 people here in an evening. We can have one person here, they're running it. Usually one person can handle it, and it's really helped us to be successful.
So our model has fit this area very well because we're only serving, Thursday, Friday evenings and Saturday noon to 10.
Yeah.
But that gives me time for production and brewing. And for the nature of rural Kansas, nobody's trying to buy stuff Monday and Tuesday. Like, look at all the restaurant schedules. It's there for a reason.
Yeah.
But we get a ton of people from a 3.5 hour radius on Saturdays.
Yeah.
Thursdays is kind of local. Fridays is a good mix.
Okay. Yeah, when I was here, I can't remember if it was a Friday or Saturday night.
It was a Saturday, probably.
Yeah, this place was packed. It was like the place to be. It was awesome. So.
And that's been the coolest thing is growing up in Courtland, Main Street, would be full of people for Fun Day and Christmas events. But there was a bar and grill when I grew up, and it'd fill up a part of a block. But it's been very common once a month for 2 years that we are filling up 3 blocks worth of Main Street with cars, with us in the restaurant. Audrey's down the street, and that's been really, really cool.
But where did we even go for live music before us? Like, where would you have gone for trivia or things like that? So we're also providing things for our community to do, and we're entertaining them.
We had over 80 events each the first 2 years.
Wow.
And for a town of 294.
That's a really big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, otherwise we'd have drove 30, 40 miles to do anything similar to this.
Yeah, when we were getting ready to open, my biggest fear was that we had 7 people per table. And my biggest nightmare would have been to come in and have to sit with a stranger. But it's insane because you'll see out-of-towners, locals, younger couples, older couples, all jammed around tables, like making new friends, welcoming people, or like if a table of 2's here, giving up their spot to go sit with someone else. So it's such a sense of community here that I would have never anticipated, just knowing the space and having people from different areas.
And it's much more a third gathering space, like feel, than it is restaurant. Restaurants, there's that like line, like, oh, you're having a meal, I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
Here, people welcome you to
Just
interrupt.
social.
Like, please come over.
Yeah.
It's so packed, there's no seats, come over, And that was great to see. We've never had to fight that ever. And craft beer in general, we have less problems than a lot of late night bars.
Yes,
Yeah, there you
thank
go.
goodness.
So, what would you guys say to someone who's got that dream in their heart, like you did, and is thinking about it? Like, it's there.
Well,
Luke, I feel like you have a really cool perspective on that just because of your background, too.
Well, I'm both analytical and outgoing. Like, this fits me really well because I can not talk to people for 4 days and then be in the bar side bartending for 3 days. And that part of me is the same approach I took to the business. I thought about this as fun, but also serious. Like, you have to figure out if this is going to cash flow. And luckily, this is the right building for the right price, and we could do so much stuff over a longer period of time. It took us years to get some of these things in place to where we could do enough of this ourselves and make this viable as a business. So, take a business class. They're free from your local small business development center. In your state, you can get all kinds of help on YouTube and talk to other entrepreneurs in your industry. We talked to so many people and got business plans from their startup days because nobody can copy exactly what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And know your numbers. But also, if you have a passion, and there's a lot of people who want to do a hobby business that may not know what the tools to be successful need and that time and requirement. And that's a big challenge working with youth that we did Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge with. Like, some kids love this passion, but you don't also want to kill your passion either. So finding balance, especially today, like finding a good balance between home life and work life. Like, you don't want to put burning out on a pedestal either.
Yeah, I think as entrepreneurs, we tend to just work all the time if we're not careful. So,
And some things like craft beer seem very, very glamorous from the outside and fun and awesome and amazing. But until you work a shift and you realize, my friends, I don't want to make them mad, but I need to go home because I got to work the next shift at noon. It's 11. It's not sustainable to be open until 2 a.m. every time just because your friends want to hang out and you're still sober serving them.
yeah.
So like just find out what the reality is from some people in the industry of whatever you're doing and get some experience somehow.
I think we make it look easier than it is. But I also think like advice would be make sure you're using social media, make sure you're sharing what you're doing, because that's how we've been able to make a lot of connections just with other breweries, but also that's how we're able to have people discover us and see what we're doing. And social media has been huge. You have people come in specifically because we post a new beer on Facebook or Instagram, or we're creating events for whatever we're doing, but it's just such a positive way to get so much information out there and get people drawn to what you're doing.
And if you're in another small town, don't think it's not impossible. We've had all but 5 states visited us in the U.S.
Wow.
in 2 years. And I didn't put the map up until April. We opened in February.
So you might have missed some.
Yeah, and some from outside the
7
country.
other countries.
Yeah.
We only got like 190 left. But it's possible. Find some people, find some champions and mentors. But we also scaled a lot of things. We started with the homebrew, club, and we scaled from there. What's the next easiest step? And we started doing some beer for people's weddings when people thought our beer was good enough. And we understood, okay, we can do this without having to drop $500,000 or, $100,000 in something.
We did so much of the work ourselves. But even when we opened, we scaled. We started with 6 taps. We moved on to 8 taps. Then we added cocktails that we create ourselves. And so we definitely scaled everything up as we go along.
We haven't even mentioned, we built our brewing system out of dairy tanks.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to pay for a brand new turnkey system that cost $20,000.
But it also fits your branding.
Yeah,
we cut them out of barns.
We're agrarian based.
Oh my gosh,
cousin's barn is on our mural north of town that we got that dairy tank from. I know where each of those came from. And that we got each one for a couple $100 and an electric brew panel for a couple $1,000. And we're ahead in that budget again. And we also built our own cold room out of an old reefer trailer that hauled meat.
Cut the legs off of it.
You hang meat on the rails.
Nice.
And we converted that into a cold room with an AC unit and a cool bot, and then have a separate room in the middle that's our fermentation room, and the front is our grain room.
It sounds way sketchier than it actually is. It's not that bad.
At the end, in 2022 or 2021,
Prices
we
of
couldn't
things went
build
up.
affordably.
Sure.
And then shipping containers, we were going to insulate one of those and turn that into it. Shipping containers tripled in price.
Yep.
So we found this, 10 miles away in Republic, Kansas, and the guy backed it up, and my cousin that helped us weld in the electrical on the milk tanks helped us cut off the rigging, and then me and Dad poured the footings and put it in, and the day of 100-mile-an-hour wind, we anchored it down.
Yeah, like the wood on our barn or on our bar and the door, we literally ripped that off of a barn, like south of town. Yeah. We made
poured
the door
the concrete
ourselves.
bar ourselves. We are not handy people that do home
Absolutely not.
renovations.
But you're resourceful.
We have friends.
We have friends. Okay. He's a bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a postman.
Yeah.
And he does about everything else.
Has all the tools we didn't own.
Yeah. So it's a process, but we're resourceful in every step of the way, entrepreneurial.
Yeah. So for anyone wanting to find Irrigation Ales, can you only drink it here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great reason to come to Courtland.
Yeah, and we balance FOMO with nostalgia in our beers. We do about 35 to 40 different beers a year.
Wow.
Some we won't repeat, some we do. There's only about 5 we do often that we'll repeat. So there's always something new on tap and seasonal. We use a lot of local fruits. But we are working on the state legislature to allow us to direct sale to like the pizza place in Belleville.
Yeah.
Because right now we have to go through a 3-tier distributor system to sell to them, which adds cost and lose control. And so we'd like to have some neighbors have our beer on tap, but we don't want to sell statewide, nor do we have the space for it.
Yeah.
Luckily, our cans travel well, so you can get them here, take them wherever you want.
There you go.
Yeah, find some mules if you got people coming through.
Yeah.
Well, what's next?
I'd like to tap out our production schedule. I mean, we're brewing every few weeks, but we could brew double. We have capacity without getting new equipment. So, I mean, that's my goal now, but also just to keep paying loans. I mean, that's a lot of what we're doing right now for the next few years. I'd like to do more events and just make some, I think we're doing good beer, especially the best dairy tank brewed beer in the state, because it might be the only. But
I'd like you to make me some weirder beers.
Some more sour barrel age program stuff.
But I honestly would just like to keep enjoying what we're doing. Like, it doesn't feel like a job because it's fun to be here. It's fun to share what we love with the community and just see people really enjoying what we're doing, what you're doing. I don't make the beer.
Yeah.
But I take credit.
I'll be happy if this still doesn't feel like work in a few years, and I feel like we already made it.
That's great. So how do we follow along?
You can follow us on Facebook, definitely active on Instagram, a lot of good visual photos of the stuff we're brewing or picking.
And is it just Irrigation Ales on Instagram?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then our website's irrigationales.com. If you are driving in, we have a page called Things to Do, and it lists like our favorite things steps away from the brewery, like the Airbnb or the restaurant or Soul Sisters.
Yep.
It also lists things that you can hit on the way in from your urban centers that are nearby us.
Yep.
But we're 45 minutes from the center of the United States, to give you an idea of where we're at.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
In Lebanon, Kansas.
Well, guys, thanks so much. I love what you're doing and can't wait to see where this goes from here. So thanks for being on the podcast.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I just love so much about this interview, and I think there's so much we can learn from this, whether it's building your business one step at a time or creating that entrepreneurial culture in your town or the economic development tips. I know you are walking away from this interview inspired. So huge thanks to Luke and Jennifer for being on the podcast, and thanks to you for tuning in. Have a great day, everybody.